this month, going deeper. So why surrender if I'm going deeper? So when I was looking up the definition of surrender, I wasn't happy with a lot of the definitions I found. And then I was doing one of my walks, my morning walks with Deepak Chopra, and suddenly Deepak speaks to me, just to me personally, into my ear and in my headphones, and he says that surrender is not really giving up, but embracing. So in a metaphysical way, I really got it. I said, oh, so surrender then is to embrace. Embrace with such love, such acceptance, such knowledge, such divine wisdom that I embrace it, and it just kind of disappears. Anything I want to surrender to, it disappears because it becomes part of me, and good part of me, a user part of me, something that I get to use for its highest and best. So my children went to Hawaii with their mothers, and when they came back, Will was talking to me about how they had gone scuba diving. Look, my hair stands even when I say scuba diving, but so he explains to me how that Will and Nora and their mother got into their wetsuits, and that the instructor was telling them what they were going to do, and they had some inflator thing they had to inflate, and there was this heavy weight that they had to grab onto that was attached to them to take them down. And right away, the concept of picking up something heavy and jumping into the ocean while I'm encumbered with a wetsuit and and Will's like, this isn't about you, Dad. I'm telling you about me. I was like, okay, good, you're right. I'm not going. I'm not ever doing this. Go ahead, tell me the story. So he tells me how it was so important for him to be able to grab the weight, take it, and allow it to have him go deeper. And I started to think to myself, that's what this is all about. Going deeper isn't going to a place where nothing exists. Going deeper isn't about finding a place where you no longer have challenges, where there are no more troubles, no more problems, all those people that annoy you have disappeared because you've gone to the top of a mountain and left them all behind. It's not, because truthfully, even if you go to the top of a mountain, you have probably taken them with you in your mind, right? Do you ever try to escape, but your mind doesn't stop, does it? So something's really bothering you, and you're just like, oh, it doesn't matter where you go. Even if you go to the beach. Oh, look, the beach is beautiful, and I wish he hadn't said that. Right? So that's not what it's about. Going deeper is that in us that comes forth. And when we're willing to embrace everything that's happened in our lives, every person, place, thing, experience, no matter what it is, if we are willing to embrace it and go deeper with it, allowing it to be part of us, now I understand deep. Now I understand the depth, the truth of my being. Now I can walk into every situation from that depth, and as Caressa said, be able to take it wherever I go. So a conversation came up this week about our teaching, and about new thought, about metaphysics, and about Christianity and the Muslim culture, Hinduism, all the different religions. What makes one person go here and another person go there? What makes one religion the biggest religion in the world, which I believe right now is Hinduism, or maybe the Muslim faith? What makes that the biggest, and metaphysics, new thought, something that most people have never even heard of? You say new thought, and they're like, well, what's that? New what? They don't know. And yet we're all sitting here. What makes one thing something that you want to go towards, and another thing that's not kind of getting the cred, not getting the publicity? And, when I got all of that, when we were discussing this, I thought to myself, is it really that important that anybody gravitates towards any one religion, or that one's bigger than the other? Because if we are all going to take everything we are and drop to the depths of truth, we're kind of all landing in the same pool. We all land in the same place, yes? So as I was having this conversation, What I said for me in metaphysics, and you know what brings you here, what brings you to this teaching, what has brought you and kept you in this teaching, for me it's about that it's user-friendly, that it's practical. And the title of my talk today is Practical Surrender. Practical surrender. What's practical? What makes it practical? What makes it user-friendly to me? I'm glad that Caressa talked about that in her talk. What makes it something that it's accessible to me? So I wanted to give you today something to take away. Every Sunday, my entire intention is to bring this science to such a place that we get to use it during the week. Not just have a fun time here, looking at me, but to be able to take it away and use it. So today I have 3 steps to surrender. 3 steps to surrender. And the first one is to surrender the facts. How many of you have facts in your life? How many of you have the same facts you've had for the last, Doug, how old are you?
58.
58 years. 95 years. The same facts, and we carry them with us. So, a lot of times we fight with those facts, don't we? How many of you fight with some of the facts of your life? Right, we do, we just do. There's things that we fight about, Somebody said to me the other day, because this scar in my neck sometimes bugs me. I see shots of me and all I see is the scar. And I'm like, that's a fact of my life. There was a point in my life where I had cancer, and they had to cut into my neck and take out 52 lymph nodes. 52 lymph nodes that I really liked. I knew every one of them by name, the funny thing was that when they did the biopsy weeks before, I remember leaving going, I just left some of my DNA in that office. It just feels like I've been stripped. Little did I know that a little while later they're going to take a lot out. But that's a fact of my life. I don't know that I've embraced it the way I need to. I don't know that I've embraced this scar the way I need to. Because if I keep seeing it and having an adverse reaction to it, I haven't embraced it as part of me. And it's kind of hard to go deep when I have some fact up here that I will not attach to. It just hangs on to me and won't let me go deep. You see how that works? So what facts are in your life that are staying up here in the boat when you're trying to go deep? What's still holding you in place? It is time to surrender to the facts. So maybe you didn't accomplish everything you wanted to accomplish by this point in your life. You're not dead. You're here. You're awake. You're alive. You have the possibility, pure potentiality to do whatever you want. Facts be damned. Let's all say that.
Facts be damned.
That was great. Did you feel good? It feels good, doesn't it? I am not my facts. Or my fax machine. I am not my facts. I am not the things that they tell me I am. I'm not who anybody would tell me I am. I'm not anything I did up to this point. That's surrender. So I need to be willing to love it all. Every single bit of it. I always love when I'm beveling my foot. I always takes me right to Goodspeed Opera House. Right? So most of you don't know what I'm talking about. So I love it when I'm willing to literally embrace everything about me. Everything about me. Everything about me. Surrendering to the facts. So that's number 1. Surrender the facts. Number 2 is ego. Surrendering the ego. How many of you have egos? You all have egos. Everybody has egos. But I teach ego in 2 ways. There's edging God out ego. How many of you have ever done that? Where you just take over, yeah, thank you. I love it. You're all like, I'm not raising my hand anymore. Edging God out. And then there's entertaining God only, which is really what we're talking about. If I'm going to surrender to my ego, then I'm going to surrender to entertaining God only. I'm going to surrender to understanding that it's all God. It is all God. Every single part of it. No matter how difficult it may be, no matter how painful it may be, no matter how hurtful it may be. Getting my ego, edging God out of the way, getting my as Emerson calls it, my bloated nothingness out of the way. You'd think I'd know that off the top of my head. I haven't used it in a while. My bloated nothingness. We think we are so many things. And as soon as we engage and we say, that's what I am, I'm up on the boat. And something's holding me there. So getting your ego out of the way, you know what that means? You got to get your hurtful self out of the way. You got to stop being hurt by everything. You got to stop being hurt by everyone. You have to stop being so sensitive. You have to do as Don Miguel Ruiz says, take nothing personally. Take no one personally. Trust and know everyone's on their journey. If someone is, I love it when he says, if someone come into 7-Eleven and shoot you in the head, do not take it personally. It's in the book with that accent. Right? You all read how many of you read the Four Agreements? So what did you think when you read that part? If someone comes into a store and shoots you in the head, you should not take it personally. That's kind of hard to do. Wouldn't you think that would be hard for you to do? Well, you'd be dead. But don't you, the people that were around you, don't you think it'd be hard for them to do? And yet, that's our job. That's what we have to do. Take nothing personally. I would say 99.9% of the things that annoy me in life annoy me because I am taking it personally. And I'm going to think the same about you. Because that's what's happening. If it's bothering you on some level, you're taking it personally, and you have the opportunity, instead of taking it personally, to get your bloated nothingness, your ego out of the way, step back and say, what is here for me to know? What is here for me to grow? And what is here for me to do? Bless you, bless you, bless you. That was good. You blessed for every one of those. So that's it. So surrendering to the ego. So you've got the facts, surrender the facts, surrender the ego. And I'm going to ask you, what do you think the last one is? What else should you surrender? Just yell it out.
Love, judgment.
Love, judgment. Future, okay. Thank you, Liza. I always know it's you as soon as I hear that Brenda Vaccaro voice. No, it's energy. Surrender the energy. How many of you have energy around things? You've answered yes to every question. I love you. Energy. How many of you, do you ever walk into a room and you can just feel the energy? Do you ever walk into a room and think, I need to walk back out of this room? It's energy. No one said anything to you, probably. It's energy. Have you ever walked up to someone and they are just pulsating energy off of them because something's going on in them that's just creating this atmospheric energy? That's how powerful your mind is. That's how powerful mine is. So what we're here to do is to surrender to it, not allow it to direct us. How many times do you think in your life you have allowed the energy that you have somehow created to now take you on a journey? Where the energy is taking you as opposed to you knowing what to do with your energy. I talked about it last week. There are moments in my life when I can hear myself saying to myself, don't do it, don't do it, take a step back. I talked about trying to tell Kevin about the trees out there. Don't do it, step back, don't say it. And that energy's taking me on a ride until I hit whoever I have to hit, which is Kevin usually, and then it takes me back to where I need to get to, which is, it's not me, James, this is your problem with the trees. Which we have come to a great place with the trees. We're taking them out. I'm just kidding. How's that? But your energy, where your energy drives you instead of you driving it. So in order to go deeper, you can't let energy, your mind's energy, the atmosphere of your thinking, take you on any kind of journey that you don't want to be on. I guarantee you that when you are in that state of angst and depression or frustration or anger, whatever that is, you don't like it. Even if you think you do, your body doesn't. All disease is a manifestation of some form of malignant energy that has shown up somewhere it has to go somewhere. And even though you think you're letting it out into the world, and you are, it's also going in all directions towards the body. So energy. Are you willing to let energy flow through you? Let it flow through you and know that you are the one in charge of it. So if you're going to surrender, and I would like you this week to really think about this, to surrender the facts, spend time this week really surrendering all the facts that you think are so important. Surrender the ego that you have spent all these years mastering, and then surrender the energy. Be willing to cut that cord. And you know what that means? You got to embrace it. So here's the thing. The mind doesn't work. If you're getting angry, your mind's not going to work by you saying, I'm not angry. Did you ever have that with somebody who's really angry? You can tell they're angry, and they're like, I'm not angry. Yes, you are. You're angry. I can see it. I can feel it. You're angry. You're screaming. You're angry. No, I'm not angry. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to really work at dealing with what you're feeling. Deal with the energy. Embrace the energy. Allow the energy. Allow the ego. Allow the facts of your life. Embrace them. Love them. Know exactly what to do with them. Surrender to them. Let them be a part of you. Let them inform you. And then watch what happens. Because those three letters, when we go to the facts, the ego and the energy, that's fee, F-E-E. You've paid a fee. You've paid a fee to the scuba instructor who has taught you that if you hold on, you will be able to drop down. But it takes the mental coinage to actually pay that fee. You have to be willing to pay the fee of using your mind, as Caressa said, in a positive, powerful, intentional way. All the time. Not just for that half hour extra you're doing of meditation. All of the time. Because I loved what Caressa said. It was so in sync with what I wanted to say today. It's got to be used in life. If you're not using it in life, then why are we showing up on Sunday? If we're not really taking it out into the world and using it in our everyday relationships, what's the point? You got to pay the fee. Ernest Holmes, the man who founded Science of Mind, who founded this teaching, this philosophy, he was so clear, as was Raymond Charles Barker. He was so clear about the mental equivalent. The mental equivalent in my mind is me paying the fee in my thoughts, in my beliefs, of the way I think. And when I pay that fee, I cannot do anything but demonstrate what's equal to that. So if I'm willing to pay my fee mentally and really embrace the facts of my life and love it all and allow it all to inform me, and if I am willing to get my bloated nothingness out of the way and pay the price I have to pay for in mental coinage to entertain God only, no matter what, thank you, Dr. Tom Costa, no matter what, and if I'm willing to literally allow the energy of God to flow through me, even if it comes up in a way that's a little disturbing, but to know what it is, it's still the energy of God, and pay the price of being aware, being awake, being present to all of that. Now I've paid my fee, I've cut the cord, and I have dropped deep, deep, deep into the truth of who I am. Heather, come on up. And I've allowed myself to be myself. Be the myself that I know I am. Be someone who shows up in the world as someone. So I've asked Heather to sing this beautiful song of hers at the end of my talk. How is that? So I invite you to just take a deep breath and listen to these words.
Yeah, a little emotional. Thank you. It's like right in line with the song. I've had a problem. They say you'll solve them. No wonder I was feeling like just one of your stepchildren. I thought I knew then the way to heaven. If I just can hope enough, I'd have a fairy tale end. But alas, now I know there's life to find in letting go. So we pray and we wait to see if now we get our way. Then we miss it all. Sometimes everything we need to learn is in the fall. Still we pray, and we pray. Often the best that we can make of it is that we get to breathe again. Glad to have the chance to wake another day. There's a reverent hum to life in everything you do and say when you pray. I grew up thinking you were nitpicking, and finding I had doubts would be considered selfish and alarming. Then came the crushing, love came rushing, the darkness of my soul, the only thing responding. But alas, now I know, no need to have an answer posed. So we pray, and we pray, we wait to see if now we get our way. Then we miss it all. Sometimes everything we need to learn is in the fall. Still we pray, the best that we can make of it is that we get to breathe again. Glad to have the chance to wake another day. There's a reverent hum to life and everything you do and say when you pray. Oh, we pray, knowing we have all we need, knowing we are enough, we pray.
So I wanted, you guys can come on out. I wanted you guys to come up. I wanted Heather to sing that song because Heather comes from a very deeply Christian background, and she was a very successful, amazing, famous Christian singer. And watching her go from that to an understanding of all of it, where it literally all gets embraced into one thing, is amazing. We have to pray more. We have to pray. We call it prayer. In this teaching, we call it prayer. We call it affirmative prayer. We're not praying to anything, which is why I love this song, because at the beginning of it, she says, I used to think that I would pray and then somebody would be nitpicking and not give me what I wanted. But at the end of the song, she recognizes, when I pray, I'm just using the love that I am to know it's all mine anyway. But it's not yours to use until you're equal to it. That's what prayer is. Your willingness to use your mind in such a way that what you think is the prayer you use to create the life you want to live. So this week, as you go through this concept of surrender, and you realize that you are not your facts, and you realize that you are not an egoic person, and that you realize that you are the energy of life, and whatever energy comes along is yours to use and allow, I guarantee you that will be a week of full-time prayer if you're willing to pray in that way. Namaste.